greenhouse and leave me alone. I'm busy farming. So, come here, Primo. Let's sit. All right. This morning we're having a little organic green tea with some local wild honey. Oh, that's delicious. All right, let's pull Primo over here. Okay, so here we are, another week. It's hard to believe. This will be episode 7 of our what started to be compost tea weekly updates. This is, what do you see, Primo? So again, episode 7, week 6. Today's Monday, and I'm going to start by showing some updates on the tower garden, where we're going with it. So we'll get into transferring the seedlings that are in the rock wool cubes into net pots, and then I'm going to put some clay pellets over them. The microgreens update. So I'm going to go back to the original growing media, which is the 3-part, which is the peat moss, the vermiculite, and perlite, equal parts. So that's going to be for my microgreens and even seed starting. We'll show you how to do a smaller scale seed starting to prick out. What else is happening here? Finally, we'll do a walkthrough of outside the greenhouse in the food forest / garden. And oh, I hid Primo's ball. That's what he's looking for. And finally, we'll come back inside here and we'll take a look at how things are progressing. So we'll do that a little bit later on in the week. It's kind of a colder day. This is the time of year in Florida, Zone 9B, where we could wake up and it might be 69-ish. And as the day goes on, we'll get significantly cooler. I believe tomorrow night's, or actually tonight's low is going to be 39. And tomorrow night, I think, is going to be down in the low 30s, close to freezing. So I'll probably put my row covers over the raised beds outside. And later today, I'll probably take out my 2 oil heaters that I've got in the in the shed. And typically, if I put those on in here between low and medium, that's enough. I mean, we've been down into the upper 20s, and I've been able to keep it 40, 42 inside the greenhouse. So, all right, let's take a look at what we got going on. So what I'm doing today is I am setting up my seedlings that were pricked out of my seed starting media. I put them into rock wool cubes, and now, so they sat in this tray with just the rock wool cube. So that would be this right here. That's the cube. They sat in the tray. Now they're going into the 2-inch net pot. Push it in all the way. This is an optional stage right here. What I'm going to do is, I have some of these clay pellets 6-7 years ago when I first started this journey growing a lot of hydroponics. These were used in the hydroponic growing, and what I like to do, these will get moist and they'll hold in moisture. They also help at this stage to add a little support to the stem of the plants. So you could see in a plant like this, it's a little weak right now. Once we get roots coming out of the bottom, we'll get it into the tower, and then it'll start to thicken up the stem. So again, today, as part of the preparing these seedlings to go into the tower garden, I'm putting them into the net pots, adding a couple of these clay pellets. Don't need to overdo it. Again, this is almost like mulching your soil, right? It'll help keep it moist up top once it gets into the tower. So there you go. This is, if you recall, the escarole and the broccoli Raab. Again, these will be growing in a form of hydroponics. It's actually called aeroponics. And here's how the cilantro is doing. We've been using this in our salads, maybe 1 or 2 more harvests. It's amazing how much flavor you get from just, if I can pull just one out. That right there. Outstanding. I've got the arugula. Now remember this, I added the compost and fertilizer to. I think I'm going to go back to just the seed starting media. So that's what we have right now as far as getting my seedlings ready for the tower gardens. And I'll go ahead and show you how I'm going to start some more microgreens. Let's go ahead and do some more microgreens. Cilantro. As I said a minute ago, I have some arugula. So to rotate my crop, so to speak, we'll be finishing up on that cilantro. We'll get into the arugula, and by then, hopefully this cilantro will be ready. So all I'm going to do, now I talked about this in, I guess it was like 2 weeks ago's video. I didn't show you, so today I figured I'd go ahead and show you. You gotta bear with Primo here. He's got a ball right next to me off camera. And so I'm just gonna sprinkle this around. I don't want to overdo it, but the goal is to try and cover most of the media with seeds. And I think we're just about there. You know, there's no right or wrong. If you have a little bit less, you can have a little bit less microgreens. No big deal. Okay. We'll seal that back up. I'll be back in just a second. I have to throw this ball, otherwise Primo's never going to leave me alone. So, leave me alone is what I'm looking for. All right, I'm back. Boy, that Primo. High maintenance. Now, again, this is the peat moss, and it's an organic one. I've got the horticulture grade perlite and vermiculite. So at this point, now I should have mentioned, I did water this tray before I put my seeds down. The peat moss sometimes takes a little bit to absorb the water, so I moistened it yesterday, and then I came back a few minutes ago and watered it again. Now I'm going to just do this over the top here, so if I miss any, again, I'm not going to do a very thick layer. I'll just cover it up. Again, this is really forgiving, so don't get too obsessed with how much you have here. That's probably plenty. Okay, and again, this is a recycled or upcycled, probably 1 quart tomato container. Now, it has enough water, but I'm going to go ahead and give it just a little bit more. Now, let me move my seed pack in case this doesn't want to. Alright, so again, it's hard to get that perfectly, but that's all you need to do. And from there, I had cut the hinge part of this off, and I'm going to put the cover back on, and that's just until my seeds start to come up like the arugula here, and then I leave the lid open. They're coming along okay. Again, I've added the mushroom compost and some fertilizer and blood meal. I don't think that's necessary with the microgreens, so I'm not going to be doing that going forward. Real quick, this is just the 3-part growing media mixture, and I've pricked out excuse me, I'm gonna get some water. It's getting hot in here. I pricked these out from my initial batch. So if you go back to the beginning when I started my seedlings, this is Viviana lettuce, this is Swiss chard, and this is some arugula. I've decided not to put it into the mixture that has the fertilizer and compost. I'm not quite sure I'm happy with the results. Now, in a minute, I'm going to go ahead and plant out these smaller trays that I'll prick out. And I'm going to do some more fennel and beet. So I have 2 more trays. So I'll go ahead and show you how I do that once again. So what I have here is a inexpensive tray for folks that might not want to do a larger scale seed starting. It has the 3-part peat moss, vermiculite, and perlite. I'm going to sprinkle my seeds just like we did in previous videos, and then we'll put a top dressing on it and we'll water it in. Again, this already has been moistened to the soil. And remember, I'm pricking these out. I'm not doing microgreens, so a little bit goes a long way here. And there's Primo with his ball. He's giving me a hard time here. Okay. So again, this is the organic beet seeds. And we'll go ahead. Now here I'm okay putting a little bit more of a top dressing or covering. Again, it's still going to be fine because we're going to prick them out at an early stage. And let's go ahead and give this a quick water, and then we'll have to label it up. There we go. That's all we need. So there you have it. We're going to continue to grow beets. We have our fennel over here. I started another tray of cilantro. We've prepped our net pots with our seedlings and covered them up with some clay pellets. Okay, so that's what we're going to cover as far as techniques for today. This week we've got a cold front that's moving in. So I've put my row covers up over the raised beds. I'm not going to remove them to show you where we're at on this week 7, or is it 6? I forget. Update. Anyway, last night I harvested more broccoli Raab out of that raised bed there. I also have been harvesting some radishes. So everything's doing really well. We're just preparing for the cold front. Tonight is expected to get in the low 30s. They're talking 34, maybe even as low as 32. Primo, hey. The rosemary's doing really well. There's my Roma tomatoes. They sustained a low of 43. We got flowers on them. We'll see. I'm not going to cover these at all. These are the San Marzano. And we get into the rosemary. This is another Roma tomato plant. This is a nice sunny spot. So here I've got 2 mulberry plants that were just transplanted. I have 2 black Suriname cherry plants over there. And I have a few broccoli Raab and a fennel in this bed. I'm going to have to cover this up, so later today I'll get out the row cover for this one. There's a look at the the chocolate cherry tomato. Look at that, I've got a fennel plant down in the bottom there. This right here is a mulberry plant that I transplanted. That's the potatoes. These are some suckers that I harvested and have them here. Again, these are the Roma. There's a look at the fennel and Roma tomato in the raised bed inside the greenhouse. Now here's where we get to see the power of the aeroponics in the tower garden. This is that same chocolate cherry tomato plant as in the pot, and this one is now starting to outperform or outgrow the one in the grow bag. Once these suckers here get just a little bit bigger, I'll harvest them and start some more tomato plants off the tower. There's the broccoli Raab that was pricked out. This was direct sowed in the raised bed right next to it. Here's the original direct sowed broccoli Raab. Full disclosure, yesterday I made some sauteed greens and I came in here and removed the largest leaves that we had. This is more broccoli Raab that was pricked out. There are carrots. These are the radishes, and you can see how nice the radishes are coming along. We have several radishes. These were direct sowed. There's more of the broccoli Raab. There's the zucchini plants. Let me get down, see if I can give you a little bit better perspective of how tall they're getting. So they're about the height of that strip of wood. There's more broccoli Raab. And we'll come over here and look at the potatoes. I want to thank you for watching episode 7, week 6 update. Primo's getting after some broccoli Raab. I hope you guys found this helpful. Leave me some comments and let me know what you think. Maybe you'd like to subscribe. We'd like to get some more subscribers. Up to you. No biggie. I gotta stay hydrated, right, Brock Hughes? You know what I'm talking about. All right, Camden, this is for you. You see what I'm doing here? We put together a greenhouse, right? Remember when we worked on putting together a greenhouse, right? We did one at Grandma Jones and we did one at your house. I want to see what you're growing through the winter. You can do it. Start some seeds and get growing. All right, thanks for watching. We'll see you next week back here at the greenhouse. Leave me alone. I'm busy farming and enjoying my greenhouse. It's gorgeous in here. All right. There you go. And so you can see a nice fire. We have a flame heading up over the dome.